Welcome to a new deep dive. We have been handed a powerful stack of sources today that paints a deeply troubling picture of a major fantasy kingdom facing total collapse. Our focus is the catastrophic event known simply as the Fall of Yscalin, which occurred around CE 1003.
And this material is pretty extraordinary because it captures the crisis not just from one, but from two completely opposing angles. It's quite stark, actually.
Right.
On one side, we have the perspective of the royal heir, Marosa Vetalda, trapped, really, in the political machinery of the capital.
And on the other,
The stark, brutal reality of the wilderness outlaw and beast hunter, Estina Melaugo. Very different lives.
our mission today then is to cut through the panic and the chaos in these accounts and uncover the real root causes of this disaster.
Yeah.
Because as the sources make painfully clear, the fall of Yscalin was not just a physical invasion by dragons. That's almost too simple.
Right. It was much more complex. It was like a perfect storm created by decades of internal decay, dynastic murder, high-stakes political maneuvering.
And a profound failure of leadership, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. All coinciding precisely with the terrifying reawakening of the great worm, Theodel. The timing is just devastating.
Okay, let's start at the very top, with the royal cage and the kingdom's, its terminal sickness. The capital, Carskero itself, is kind of a monument to Yscali hubris.
That's absolutely right. You can almost read the kingdom's fatal flaws right into its geography. Carskero is built on Mount Fruma.
Which was sacred ground once.
Exactly. A peak the native Yscals once revered as a petrified god before, the dominant faith of the saint took over.
But instead of showing reverence,
They built over ancient mines, which naturally weakened the mountain's structure. Not the smartest move.
and the land itself is practically screaming warnings long before the dragons arrives, isn't it?
Yeah.
The sources detail this escalating environmental crisis.
Multiple tremors, yeah. Marosa actually notes she felt the sixth in just as many days.
Wow. And the Tindana, that river of lava.
Uh-huh. Flowing through the city for nearly 10 years.
You just don't build your capital on an active volcanic fissure and expect, peace and quiet.
It really symbolizes their religious and political arrogance, doesn't it?
Yeah.
They rejected that ancient reverence for the land, chose instead to place their seat of power directly atop, a geological time bomb.
And trapped inside this oppressive, heavy Blackstone prison they call the Palace of Salvation is Marosa Vetalda.
She's only 25, the future queen, but she has essentially no power. Her father, King Sagoso III, keeps her life, and especially her marriage, just incredibly tightly controlled.
And that marriage is her escape route.
Oh, absolutely. It's a key to her freedom. Sagoso is deliberately delaying her union with Prince Aubrek Livlin of Mentendon.
And Marosa knows this.
She's fully aware she actually has this plan, Conceive a child quickly and then claim the noxious lava fumes of Carskero make the city too dangerous for the newborn.
A legitimate reason to flee. Clever.
But the sources reveal why Sagoso is such a desperate, controlling tyrant. It's not just him being an overprotective father.
Yeah.
He's a murderer, and he must maintain absolute secrecy. This is where it gets really, really intricate.
Okay, lay it out for us.
Marosa discovers that Sagoso's crimes stretch back over a decade. He was responsible for the murder of Queen Rosarian IV of Anis.
Queen Sabran's mother, the monarch of their powerful northern neighbor.
The very same. He executed this murder way back in CE 991 using basilisk venom delivered through an Eastern water silk gown.
How? That's incredibly elaborate. And risky.
And he had help, an ally known only as the cupbearer.
Wait, I have to stop you there. This is regicide against a foreign power. And he kept documents detailing this. Why on earth would a king hold on to proof of his own guilt?
That's the psychological twist, isn't it? He
Yeah.
kept the documents almost as proof of his piety to the saint. He genuinely seemed to believe that eliminating Queen Rosarian, whom he saw as a political threat, was a righteous act.
That's disturbing.
And then we have the second murder, much closer to home, his own wife, Marosa's mother, Queen Sahar.
Oh, no.
He confesses this to Marosa. He killed Sahar in CE 994, claiming she was a southern spy. A spy.
That's his claim. He said she was planning to flee after discovering the Rosarian murder plot. And this confession, this is the moment Marosa realizes her true, terrifying political significance.
Because she's not just the Yscali heir.
Precisely. Her uncle, King Jantar, rules the Airseer, another massive kingdom in the south, and he's childless.
So Marosa is also the heir presumptive to that throne?
Exactly. Sagoso wasn't just isolating her, he kept her caged as surety, as the source puts it.
Surety. Leverage.
Guaranteeing him leverage, yes.
Right.
Preventing the powerful Ursir and Antes from moving against him because of, well, what he'd done. His entire regime was built on murder, paranoia, and basically political hostage-taking.
So while the king is quite literally murdering his way to power inside the palace, his paranoia is having these massive, deadly consequences for people just trying to survive on the outside.
It ripples outwards.
Let's shift our focus completely now. Let's connect the king's moral rot to the desperation of Estina Melaugo. Melaugo is the polar opposite of Marosa in so many ways. Her life is defined by the wilderness, by constant threat. She is a color.
A hunter of draconic sleepers.
Right, and she's branded an outlaw for it.
Yeah.
The sources make it really clear that culling is actually necessary work, but it's illegal in Yscalin.
And her existence sounds like pure desperation. Risking her life against these massive rock-armored lindworms, these draconic creatures.
Just for survival, the sources mention her payment, a ram and 2 meals a day.
She even complains, doesn't she, that the price is too low for risking a gruesome death. The systemic cruelty is just right there on the page.
It really is, and this is where we need to talk about the bigger threat. These sleepers, they've been dormant for 5 centuries, but now
They're waking up.
they're waking up. Melaugo, being on the ground, she sees it firsthand. She treats this phenomenon, calls it the draconic plague, like a creeping pestilence.
A plague. That's telling.
And she notes they're getting hungrier. Soon, deer won't be enough. The threat level is rising, exponentially.
But wait, if the entire continent is facing this massive draconic awakening, continental plague, as she calls it, why would King Sagoso outlaw culling? He must know this is the ultimate threat. Was he trying to protect the beasts? Or was it purely political?
It seems it was a political defense mechanism wrapped up in this veneer of piety. Melaugo gets found by Gian Harlow.
The Lord Admiral of Ennis, who's also secretly a smuggler. Quite a character.
Indeed. Harlow confirms that this widespread stirring of sleepers signals the inevitability of the second grief, which is their term for the next major dragon war.
Okay.
And Harlow reveals Sagoso's strategy, why he outlawed culling.
Which is?
Sagoso is actively blaming the low and greedy criminals, that's the cullers and commoners, for disturbing the beasts for sport.
Scapegoating.
Exactly. It's a deflection tactic designed entirely to protect the monarchy. By blaming the commoners, Sagoso tries to ensure that when the monsters do inevitably rise, no one can accuse the king of having angered the saint by failing to uphold divine order.
It's structural hypocrisy in its purest form. Just unbelievable.
And that insight confirms Melaugo's core, very bitter belief. Something forged after her parents died in a debtor's prison.
What's her conviction?
That the 6 virtues only apply to certain people. For her, the ruling class, defined by its greed and moral rot, was structurally designed to fail those at the bottom long before the first dragonfire even began. And eventually, inevitably, the internal rot and the external fire finally meet. Fyridel arrives.
And the scale of this awakening sounds immense. A catastrophic rock slide literally splits Mount Fruma itself.
Revealing the Feldor, the cave where Fyridel has been slumbering.
And the sources identify him, don't they? He's not just any dragon.
No, definitely not. He's one of the 5 High Westerns, and significantly, the Nameless One's right wing.
Okay, so for the listener, Fyridel is ancient, named, colossal power, serving in the Nameless One, the presumed sort of supreme draconic entity.
Precisely. His awakening is immediate and devastating for Kurskuro. Wyverns just pour out, destroying the city's artillery.
The catapults, the bolt throwers,
Yeah.
defenses that should have been ready.
Yeah, they should have been manned, ready for a war that was, let's be honest, 5 centuries in the making.
It really speaks volumes about the kingdom's decay, that their massive defenses were just unattended, relying on geography.
A strategy that's completely useless against a flying enemy emerging from inside the mountain itself. And Fyridel, who the sources say can speak, he summons the king.
And Sagoso.
In this absolutely chilling moment of high treason, King Sagoso emerges. And his eyes, they're described as gray, ash-like, showing some kind of connection, maybe parasitic to the...
He doesn't fight, he doesn't retreat.
He embraces it, publicly declares Yscalin, the draconic kingdom of Yscalin, bound in worship to the Nameless One.
Wow.
And he orders the immediate violent destruction of all symbols and followers of the saint. This is it. The political disease becomes literal, religious, and national betrayal.
And the consequences ripple out immediately.
Instantly, across the entire region, Ortegards, the city of courtesy, is attacked. It's burning from the wyvern's signature red fire.
Oh.
And maybe worst of all, to prevent a mass exodus, the city gates are chained shut.
Trapping everyone inside.
Trapping them. Sagosso's orders are for the royal army to resist the wyrms, an act that just seals the fate of his own loyal soldiers and citizens. Pure betrayal.
Meanwhile, back inside the Palace of Salvation, Marosa is fighting this desperate losing war.
Frantically, she attempts several acts of defiance, tries smuggling weapons out to the commoners, but they all fail.
And the cost is horrific, I read.
Terrible. Her loyal guard Ermendo and Lady Isabel Affleton, they're executed for their allegiance to her, hung at the gate of Niunda. A very clear, brutal message.
The failure of every single resistance attempt just highlights her profound isolation, doesn't it?
Completely. In her final, most desperate move, she sends Dowager Prince Wilstan Finch through a secret lava tunnel.
The tunnel again.
To deliver a mysterious iron box, she calls it the key to a weapon, to the Ursiri ambassador.
Does he make it?
Barely out of Carsagro. But even this desperate attempt fails. Finch dies this horrible, infected death out in the snow, which also confirms the mountains are now crawling with other monsters like the Amphipter.
So the threat isn't just Fyrardel. The whole ecosystem is corrupted. Rescue is impossible.
Utterly impossible. And then comes the truly chilling ultimatum for Marosa. She's summoned to Fyrardel's lair.
Yeah.
She's informed that once the king dies, from the draconic plague Fyrardel apparently inflicted on him, she must take her father's place as the wyrms' agent.
Forced into his role.
Exactly. And to cement this terrifying transition, she's forced to wear an iron helm, wrought like a worm's head, to appease the new draconic cultists springing up.
The stakes are now continental, aren't they? Fyrardel leaves Carsagro.
In his immense four-legged form, casting this huge shadow, begins flying directly towards Innis.
Towards Queen Sabrin.
And Marosa's realization is stark, terrifying. If he kills Queen Sabrin, she thinks, all is lost. The Nameless One will rise. This time, humankind will be extinguished.
But while Marosa is forced into this symbolic treason, Melaugo finds her path. A path to freedom? Maybe purpose.
It seems so. She and Leia escape burning Ortegards through a smuggler's storm drain, no less, and manage to swim out to the Rose Eternal.
Giancarlo's ship. Heavily armed, the text says.
Their only hope, really. Harlow confirms they are heading to Yscalin, Anise, to warn Queen Sabrin.
The very queen whose mother, King Sagosso, murdered all those years ago. The irony.
It's thick with irony. Melaugo accepts a role on the ship. She realizes this is her only chance to leave the land of the saint, find safety, or maybe just find a fight that actually matters. The outlaw becomes the unlikely messenger warning against the crown's ultimate crime.
So we're left with these two key characters, Marosa and Melaugo, on what feels like a collision course with destiny.
It is genuinely compelling, isn't it? Seeing how these two narratives, though physically separate, are essentially fighting the same battle against Sagosso's toxic legacy.
Marosa trapped, forced to wear that iron helm, embodying the treason.
While Melaugo is literally sailing into the storm to try and save the one person who might be able to resist the Dragon Queen, Sabrin, the daughter of Sagosso's first victim.
Absolutely. And it hammers home that the fall of Yscalin wasn't really a military defeat in the traditional sense. It was more like societal suicide.
Completely facilitated by King Sagosso's paranoia and his murder spree, his decade of political isolation, of control, it made the kingdom structurally vulnerable from the inside out.
So Fyrardel basically just walked into a prepared throne room.
Pretty much. The kingdom was already rotten with hypocrisy, just as Mulatto had observed from the fringes, you know?
Yeah.
And this unification of moral failure and physical destruction, it leads us to a final thought for you, the listener, to consider.
Oh.
In a world facing an ancient, overwhelming, fiery threat like Fyrardel, what is the most dangerous consequence of that deep-seated corruption? Is it the literal monster, the dragon, that has just woken up? Or is it the deeply buried knowledge of past political treachery, the murders, the betrayals, the stuff that ensures the monster's success because it strips the potential heroes of their necessary alliances, their power, their trust right when they need it most? Which poison is deadlier,